Hello, welcome to the lecturer's desk. Get your medical thoughts cleared before you leave. And please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell.
Hello guys, welcome back to the lecture desk once again. I know it's been a while since I dropped a video. I'm very sorry for that, for keeping you guys waiting, and I know you forgive me. Today we are going to talk of a very interesting topic, which is premature ventricular contraction, or we can also call it what? Ventricular extrasystole. Now, some others also call it ectopic heartbeat. Premature ventricular contraction, in short, we call it PVC. And this PVC, what is it? It's an abnormal heart rhythm in which the ventricles contract earlier than the normal. And this is as a result of the ventricles generating its own action potential without following the action potentials generated by the sinus node that is being transmitted into the ventricles, causing it to contract earlier than the normal transmission from the sinus node. As you know, always, we will go into the graph and talk about how we can identify PVC on the EKG graph. It's very easy, so please stay, don't leave, and let's go into it. Now, we have our graph over here. We're talking about how we can identify the PVC. From our previous video, we know how to label the graph and everything. Today, we'll go into it straightforward without wasting much time. Now, the PVC, first we check the RR intervals. Now, we'll be checking the RR intervals. The RR intervals, we know we have our R intervals over here. For the PVC, be getting a normal or a regular RR intervals. This RR interval and this RR interval will be regular. But where there is a premature ventricular contraction, the RR interval after the normal QR complex is very short, become very short. So assuming this R1, R2, R3, they are normal, and the intervals are also regular and normal. But here after that, we see that there's a short RR interval. That means this QRS complex generated. This QRS complex generated is from the impulses generated by the ventricle its own without following the sinus node. Now, after the contraction of the ventricles, or after the QRS complex, which is an abnormal one, or which is the PVC, after that there's a very gap or very large distance between that PVC, this is our PVC, and the normal QRS complex generated over there. Now, sometimes we can confuse ourselves with this and an irregular heartbeat. Now, for PVC, we follow a normal and regular heartbeat until the QRS complex, or until QRS complex following a normal heartbeat become very short. And after the QRS complex or the PVC, there's a large distance between that PVC and a normal QRS complex generated. And this distance, this large distance, is as a result of when the ventricles contract or generate impulses on its own and contract, the heart need to compensate that contraction. So the heart need to relax and then reorganize itself and produce new sinus transmission so that it will be moved into the ventricles and then cause normal contraction. So that delay or that organization lead to an increase in the distance or in the time from what the PVC or where we generated our abnormal QRS complex to a normal QRS complex generated on the EKG graph. Now, let's look at the graph itself. When you look at the graph, let's take the second graph. I'm using the second graph. On the second graph, look over here. We have QRS complex here, another QRS complex, another QRS complex. Between this QRS complex, this R and this R, and this R and this R, you see there's what? Regularity. Now, the distance between the first and then the second one, the same distance between the second one and then the third one. But look at what? The third one and the fourth one. Do you understand? The third one and the fourth one, the distance over there is very short. Are you clear with it? It's very short. And then from that of what? The PVC and the next QRS complex, the distance between that part two is very large. Do you understand? Now, so this is actually serving as what? Our abnormal ventricular contraction, which is what? Early what? Generated without following what? The sinus contraction. Are you clear with it? The sinus rhythm. Now, looking at this, sometimes the shape of the QRS complex is very easy for us to know it's an abnormal, and sometimes it is very difficult for us to know it's an abnormal unless we use the distance between what? The RR intervals. Are you clear with it? Now, this is very easy for us to know. Now let's look at condition where the size or the structure of the QRS complex generated by the ventricle is the same as that of what? The sinus rhythm. Now let's look at what? This part. This where the arrow is our extrasystole. This is our extrasystole or our PVC. So our PVC over here is the same as that of the first one and the same as the rest. So with this, it's very difficult for you to identify, but this one is very easy. So this, we check the normal one, this and that, they are what? The distance between this and that of this one and that of this and that of that is what? The same. You see there's what? Irregularity. But when the distance between this and that drops, the distance between this and that has been dropped. And then after that of what? The early contraction, there's what? A very large distance between that one and this. That means the heart was what? Trying to compensate the ventricular contraction so that the sinus node can what? Can work, and we get what? A sinus what? Rhythm. Are you clear with it? Now, so this is basically how it is. Now, you see the first contraction, the first cardiac cycle, second cardiac cycle, third cardiac cycle. The fourth cardiac cycle is supposed to be at where we have what? Our long arrow over here. But because of what? The ventricular contraction, the PVC, the what? The QRS complex generated was what? Early before the normal one. It was early before the normal one. Are we clear with it? And because of that, we say it is what? A PVC, which is premature ventricular contraction. And after that one, there's what? A compensation. We give what? A large distance for heart to what? Reorganize itself and come back again with a sinus rhythm. The same thing applies to what? To this one, where I have my what? My yellow arrows. The short yellow is what? The distance between what? The PVC and the normal what? QRS complex is very short, and then the second arrow is what? Very what? Large. That is what? A place where the heart was what? Reorganizing itself to produce what? A normal sinus rhythm. Are we clear with it? The same thing applies to what? To this one. So when we come to what? This one, this is regular, this and this. the same as this and that. But after that of what? The second cardiac cycle, there's what? A drop, or there's what? Early contraction of the ventricles. That was what? The extrasystole of the PVC. Now, let's look at how we can what? Classify, or the classification of the PVCs, or some type. Some people can also call it types of it. Now, let's look at the PVC over here. We can get what? A polymorphic, and monomorphic. Polymorphic means the PVCs generated, they are not of the same direction. You can get some that are what? Only positive, and some that are what? Negative. So, assuming this is our graph, this is our PVC, first PVC, and then we compensate. Our second PVC will come down. Our second PVC. So this, we have what? Positive ones and what? Negative ones. So positive and the negative of what? These different directions. That means we have a polymorphic what? PVC. And what? When there's a monomorphic, like this one, they are of the same what? Direction. That one is called what? A monomorphic one. Now, let's look at another one too. Another one too. We call it can be what? Bigeminy, trigeminy, and quadrigeminy. Bi, we all know is 2. Tri, we know is 3, and quadri means 4. Now, bigeminy means the PVC generated is on the second cardiac cycle. So now, let's assuming this, let me take this one. This is the normal first cardiac cycle. The second cardiac cycle is giving us what? An extrasystole, or a PVC. So the PVC is actually on the second cardiac cycle. So every second cardiac cycle, so assuming this, I'm taking this one, every second cardiac cycle, you get what? The generation of what? PVC. Are we clear with it? Now, that's what we call what? Bigeminy. The trigeminy, that means the PVC is on what? The third cardiac cycle. So we get what? 2 normal cardiac cycle and 1 cardiac cycle. The following cardiac cycle is the third one. There's what? Ventricular contraction, early ventricular contraction, which is the PVC. The quadrigeminy is where we get what? 4. It is on the 4th cardiac cycle, meaning we get what? 3 normal cardiac cycle with normal ventricular contraction, and then the 4th one is going to give us what? Early ventricular contraction, which is what? The PVC on it. So we have what? The bigeminy, trigeminy, quadrigeminy, depending on the number or the cardiac cycle in which we find that of what? The PVC. And we can also be what? It can be what? Monomorphic. It can be what? Monomorphic quadrigeminy. That means all the extrasystole generated, they are of the same direction. Or can be what? Polymorphic bigeminy. All the extrasystole generated, or the PVC generated, they are what? Not of the same what? Direction. Some are positive and some are what? Negative. Now, let's look at something over here. Sometimes we can get 2 Sometimes we can get 2, 1 and 2 PVCs You can get 2 PVCs without what? A normal QRS complex. A continuous PVCs, 2 PVCs. This is what we call what? A couplet. Couplet. The couplet means couple. Couple means 2. We have 2 PVCs continue without what? A normal ventricular contraction. Are we clear with it? Now, so this is what? A couplet. Now, someone may also say or may ask, so if you have 2 continuous what? PVCs, it gives us a couplet. What of what? That of what? 3 and more. 3 and more is what we call what? The V-tach. You can check the video on the V-tach. 3 or more. 3 or more. We call it what? V-tach, ventricular tachycardia. Now, the ventricular tachycardia, it can be what? Not sustained. We call it V-tach. The ventricular tachycardia, it can be what? 1. No sustain, and 2 sustain. Now, the no sustain, that of the extrasystole generated or the PVCs generated, or 3 or more PVCs generated, the time taken for their generation is less than 30 seconds. It's less than 30 seconds. So, when the time taken is less than 30 seconds, for example, the extrasystole generated is what? About 5. It's about 5 continuous. When you check the time taken for the generation, the first one to the 5th one, you know it's what? Less than what? 30 seconds. So it's what? No sustained. Are we clear with it? But when it is more than 30 seconds, that is what we call what? Sustained. That's what we call sustained. Now, look at that of this one. This is, we have 3 PVCs continuous without what? A normal ventricular contraction. 3 PVCs continuous. So this is actually what? A V-tach. This is actually a V-tach. So V-tach, and it's what? No sustain. So we should take a very good note of that. So the extrasystole or the PVCs, it can be what? Monomorphic, polymorphic, it can be bigeminy, trigeminy, quadrigeminy, and it can be both monomorphic, bigeminy, polymorphic, trigeminy, and the rest. And also you can get what? A couplet. A couplet is when you have 2 continuous without what? A normal ventricular contraction or normal QRS complex. And also we can get that of what? The V-tach. The V-tach is when you have what? 3 or more. And in the V-tach, it can be what? Sustained and no sustained. You can check the video on what? On the ventricular tachycardia. And when it is what? No sustained, the time taken for what? For the PVCs to what? To end is less than 30 seconds. And then when it's sustained, it is very continuous. And then the time taken is more than 30 seconds. So basically, this is what the premature ventricular contraction entails. If you have any question or any doubt or any compliment, you can put it on the comment section. Do you understand? But please don't forget, if you are new here, can you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and also recommend a friend so that we can all benefit from the usefulness of this channel. See you, and thank you for staying with me till this time.